So, good evening and welcome to the session. We are beginning the study of this book, Man and His Bodies. This is a book by Annie Besant. Before we continue further, a small acknowledgement. All the, my understanding, my introduction to Theosophy, to these books, and my ability to understand these has largely been guided and helped by Master Choa. So, forever in his debt, forever, the credit goes to him. Any mistakes I make, of course, I take the credit, but otherwise, all the correct knowledge, the credit goes to Master Choa, to the Acharyas, and all the senior pranic healing mentors who have helped me. All right. Okay, so shall we begin this book? Little little information. Annie Besant. Annie Besant, as the name suggests, lady. So born in the female body. She was born in 1847 and she left her body in 1933. Many great stories and teachings connected with her. She had a very productive life. She was involved in Christianity, and then she got even involved in the Indian independence movement. And she became, the leading Indian organization which was working on the Indian freedom from the Britishers. Was the Indian National Congress, and she actually became the president of the Indian National Congress. She was the first and maybe the only lady, woman president of the Indian National Congress. She was also the president of the Theosophical Society. And actually, that is how she was most famous. She was famous as a theosophist. She has written a number of books. Some she has authored herself, like this one, and some books she has co-authored with other people. Number of them with Leadbeater, Bishop Leadbeater. This book was first written in 1896. So it's about 130 years old. And surprisingly, it is still relevant. It is still relevant to us. Now, I think most of you have joined me in other book studies. Now, one difference that we will do in this book study is we will not be reading the book word by word. Yeah, there are two reasons for that. One reason is that, this is not a very, how should I say, not a book where we need to go, where we need to sort of unpack word by word, phrase by phrase. We can try to understand more the gist of what is being said.
Yeah.
We can just sort of stick to the gist that is being said rather than our trying to go into every word. So hopefully we will finish the book faster. Second thing is, I keep saying this, we have to stop this spoon feeding habit. So I would like that each of us makes a mental effort to read the book by ourselves and make an effort to understand the words, the what is being said, and the thoughts behind the words. That is what we are trying to do. And in our sessions, what we will do is we will try to discuss a summary of the portions that we have read, and some portions, some selected portions, maybe we will read word by word and discuss them. So as such, what we will do is we will set homework goals. So for we are going to have one session a week. So before the next session, which is next Thursday, I would request that please read up to page 32. 32, 32. That is the end of, I think, one of the chapters, the chapter on the physical body. So please read up to there. You can read further, of course, but at least read up to there. Now, when you read, my warning is that there are some words that you will have difficulty with, or you may have difficulty with, because 130 years ago the it is English, but the English had, the common usage of English at that time, the words were slightly, can be slightly different. So you may need to look up a dictionary. Otherwise, Google Jindabad. Just Google the word that you have you don't relate to. And even so, it's good that you look up parts and concepts and words and so on, because that is the part of the effort we make when we study something. Otherwise we are just reading. So we must study. Maybe there are some things that even after you look up, you are still not clear about what they are. It's all right. Just mark them. Just mark them. And then when we discuss that session, that portion next time, we will discuss that. Yeah, we can discuss. Or you can WhatsApp me. You just message me on and say that, page so and so, this part I did not understand, and I will see if I can help you. Or if I think that it is something that should be discussed in the session, I will tell you that, let's discuss it in the session. One more effort I would suggest that you make. Try to find where what we will study in the book agrees with what we have studied from Master Choa. And in some cases, it's possible you may find that it seems to disagree. Both are fine. We must make that effort to identify those portions, and let's discuss them in these sessions. All right. And, I will, of course, share my understanding, but if you understand something wider or you understand something deeper, please do share that. Let's do this as a collaborative exercise rather than, like a lecture. And, I hope when I'm saying read up to page 32, I hope it is not, you don't think it is too much. It is not for one day. This is for a week. So it's barely about 5-6 days, and it's a small book. You can see the paper size is small, and the even the font is generous. There is enough spacing between two lines. I think 30 pages of this book is, or maybe about 5 A4 size pages. So I'm sure in one week we can read 5 A4 size pages. Yeah. So that is my request. Let's try to stick with that. All right. Okay. So that said, let's pick up the book. Let's open it. There is the content, and then there is some errata, and then I go on to the preface. So today maybe some parts we will read line by word by word. Few words are needed in sending this little book out into the world. It is the seventh of a series of manuals designed to meet the public demand for a simple exposition of theosophical teachings. So, for example, the word exposition. Now, I honestly didn't know what it meant. I mean, I thought it may be connected with exposing. So, anyway, I looked it up on Google. Google said it means explanation. So the public demand for us. So basically, this preface is saying why this book, why there is a need for this book. And what it tells us is that this is the seventh in a series of books which are designed to help explain theosophical teaching. So it's a good homework. We should try to see what are the other six books, and maybe we can make when we do these book studies, we can take up those books one by one. Some have complained that our literature is at once too abstruse, too technical, and too expensive for the ordinary reader. And it is our hope that the present series may succeed in supplying what is a very real want. So basically, they are saying that many people find Theosophy books very dense. I don't know if you have read some of the earliest books on in Theosophy. They are pretty dense. I mean, this is my experience. Maybe your experience may be different, but certainly in my experience, there it's quite dense. And sometimes I tell people who are suffering from insomnia or who are having difficulty in sleeping, I tell them just buy, buy a early Theosophy book and take it to bed. Try to read a few pages. Guaranteed by the second page, you you have gone off to sleep. So what they're saying is that we are trying to simplify the teaching so that ordinary people, can understand them. Theosophy is not only for the learned; it is for all. Now this is there. this is sort of the reason or the underlying principle why Madam Annie Besant says that she's writing this book. It may be among those who in these little books catch their first glimpse of its teachings. There may be a few who will be led by them to penetrate more deeply into its philosophy. Its philosophy means the philosophy of Theosophy, its science and its religion, facing its abstruser problems with the students' zeal and the neophytes' ardor. The neophyte means, like we say, fresher. I am a fresher to this thing. So a beginner, but a beginner who has committed to that study. And ardor, the word ardor means interest, or, more than just interest, but a desire. So what they're saying is ki even for beginners, these books should be relevant. But these manuals are not written for the eager students whom no initial difficulties can daunt. They are written for the busy men and women of the workday world and seek to make plain some of the great truths that render life easier to bear and death easier to face. Now, this is an important line. You see, this also answers why should I read spiritual books? Or forget that. Why should I be interested in spirituality? So really, if you keep asking why this, so somebody will say, well, spirituality will do this. So then, but why this? So at the end, you will find that, you see, like the Buddha said, human life has misery. Now, he doesn't say that it is only misery. He also shows then there is a way to get out of it. Now, this is what Madam Annie Besant is pointing to. She says there are these great truths that can make life easier to live and prepare us better for death. Now, don't you think that is a really desirable, that is a really lofty, a really good goal for us to pursue? And friends, this is my belief, or why we must spread spirituality, not religion, but spirituality, because only through spirituality can we have heaven on earth, where human suffering is reduced to a great extent. It is only through spiritual knowledge. There's no other shortcut. Yeah. Okay, then we come to the introduction. So much, so I won't read this line by line, but now this I will read for, as a part of your homework. But now the I'll just give like a quick summary, which hopefully will guide you and help you when you study the chapter yourself. Are you the body or are you the soul? And the first part of the question, many times people say, I am the body and I have a soul. Now, what in this introduction, one of the things being made clear is that's not so. You are the soul and you have the body, or rather, the bodies. And there are different bodies. And somewhere Madam Besant gives the examples that like you have to go from place A to place B. You can go, you can walk, you can take a bicycle, you can take a bus, you can fly, etc., etc. So similarly, so each mode of transport has its own function, its own benefits, its own, qualities. Similarly, each of our bodies, because they keep using the term vehicle. So each vehicle for the soul, which means each body, which is what we will learn in this book, or we will read about in these books. What are these bodies? What are their functions? What are their qualities, properties, etc., etc. That is what, what are they? What are their qualities? They have different qualities, different functions, different purposes. So the study of that is what we will be led to. So once this introduction is completed, that is what it will come to. Now, one benefit, so page 4, I will just read a portion from there. We learn to separate ourselves from his bodies, to step out of the vehicle, and to know that we exist in a far fuller consciousness outside it than within it, and that we are in no sense dependent upon it. And that is what we have also learned from Master Choa's teachings. For example, in the soul class, when that is once achieved, any further identification of ourself with bodies is, of course, impossible. And we can never again make the mistake of supposing we are what we wear. So, the another example that is given is that the bodies are like the clothes that you wear. Now, the next line here says the clear intellectual understanding, at least, is within the grasp of all of us. And that really is the purpose of this book. Even if we will take time to experience, to realize that we are not the body, at least that intellectual understanding we should be able to get from this book. And, in even in Master's book, we have got that. And later it says, even to do this is to step out of the illusion in which the majority are wrapped. The majority, what is the illusion? That you are the body. It changes our whole attitude towards life and the world, lifting us into a serener. Serene, you understand, means calm or peaceful. So, serener means more calm, more peaceful. Region above the changes and chances of this mortal life, placing us above the daily petty troubles which loom so largely to embodied consciousness, showing us the true proportion between the ever changing and the relatively permanent, and making us feel the difference between the drowning man tossed and buffeted by the waves that smother him, and the man whose feet are on a rock while the surges break harmlessly at its base. So, we talked about it that spirituality is the solution to overcoming the miseries of day to day life. And that is again what what Madam is trying to tell us is that once you are able to separate yourself, your true self, from your bodies, you achieve that state where the world is still the same, but now it doesn't bother you, it doesn't fill you with misery. So on page 6, I'll just read from between. Each body varies according to its environment. One is grosser than another, one shorter lived than another, one has fewer capacities than another. But all have this in common, that relatively to the man, they are transient. Now, when she's saying man, it doesn't mean, male, female, or anything. It means the soul, the real self, the man. They are his instruments, his servants, wearing out and renewing themselves according to their nature and adapted to his varying needs and growing powers. We shall study them one by one, beginning with the lowest, and then take the man himself, the actor in the bodies. So, you see, the thing what she has not mentioned, but I think that will make things a little easier to understand is the difference between the soul and the bodies is the bodies are made up of matter. Okay, I've created some slides. I'll just quickly run you through them. They sort of give us a little background into the bodies and why they're different from the soul, etc., etc. So maybe it will take 5 minutes or so. I'm sorry, we may run beyond our time, but let's see. So it really begins with this whole explanation of creation. I'm sure you've read this, that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and this is referring usually to the sacred Om, the sound of creation. Now, when the Om happens, how it is explained is that there is matter, pure matter, no consciousness, pure consciousness, no matter. They combine. This matter gets impregnated by the pure consciousness, or what in the scriptures is called Prakriti and Purusha. The Purusha invades or impregnates the Prakriti, and then the animation begins. Activity begins in the Prakriti, and then it's this whole, what in science is called the Big Bang. Something like that happens, and the manifest universe, by manifest universe, the universe we see all around us, gets created. Now, when that happens, apparently, according to Theosophy, there are three outpourings. This impregnation, it happens in three distinct phases. So you see, now I won't get into every bit of this, but there is this first outpouring which sort of creates seven states of matter. How does it do that? You know, different density of particles which are surrounded by energy, or which are activated by energy. You see, this manifest universe is essentially matter which has energy interpenetrating it. Okay. So I'm sure you're aware, modern science is now very clear on this, that what you think is solid is actually just particles dancing in ether, or in space, and there is energy which is making them. So it's really manifestations of energy. Now, this first outpouring that comes down, it creates seven planes of matter. As you go deeper down, as you are going down, if you see this diagram, the lowest is the densest, and the highest is the most subtle. That means the particles are the heaviest niche, and least heavy at the highest level, right? So the prakriti is increasing like this. Now, physical plane, the lowest plane, they have called the physical. Now, each of these planes has seven subplanes. So seven planes, seven subplanes. Now, okay, I'm sorry, I'll just go back to this. Now, the second outpouring, this comes down and it creates the forms, what we call the bodies. It creates the forms, and it provides the impetus for evolution to begin. As you see, it's coming down, it's coming down, curving up and going up. So that is the second outpouring. Now, what the third outpouring does is it provides the input for individualization. So, as humans, we have individual souls, but other living entities, for example, animals and plants and minerals and so on, they don't have, they have group souls. So if you can see in this diagram, the same seven planes, now what we are seeing here is that the mineral kingdom has consciousness at the lowest, that is the physical plane, and that also not fully, only about half it is solid, and then there is this, and it is now beginning to manifest at the astral or the emotional plane. When the next one, the vegetables, again similar, but they are fully now conscious at the physical plane, more they are beginning to grow at the emotional plane. When you come to the animals, yeah, fully developed at the physical, now quite developed at the emotional plane, and beginning to develop their mental capability. And then we come to the humans. So when we come to the humans, we are fully developed at the physical plane, emotional plane, mental, and the mental plane is divided into two parts. So that is where we are now. Our consciousness needs to develop. And then the spiritual, or what we can call superhumans. So another way of looking at this, now, if you look on the left side, the physical plane, there is again two sections. You can see three subplanes. That is what our physical body is made up of. The next four, that is where our etheric body is made up of. You know, the one we healed during pranic healing. When you learned basic pranic healing, everything you were doing, you were working on the next four planes. Okay. And then when you do psychotherapy, you are working on the mainly the astral plane, because we have the astral body, or the the emotional body. And then the next is the mental body. And the next then is what we could, what in this diagram is called the soul aura, but it's usually called the causal body, because all our causes, all our karma, the seeds and the sanskars are stored there. So when death, what we call death occurs, first the physical body dies, more or less at the same time the etheric body dies, and then after some time the astral body is also dissolved, and then the mental body also dissolved. The causal body remains. And so next incarnation, causal body still has all the lessons learned, the lessons to be learned, the karmics, baggage, the sanskaras, they are all stored over there. And as we learn lessons and so on, our causal body keeps developing. And that is what in this book, we will learn in more detail. So I hope you are excited about the way we will go about this book. Let's meet now again next Thursday and discuss this. So up to page 32. I hope you've got that. Please read up to page 32. Mark portions that you would like to discuss, where you would like to share some understanding or ask questions. And if there's something that you are just not getting and you would like to get an explanation, please WhatsApp me. All right.